federal government of Nigeria, to the then acting president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, requested the National Human Rights Commission to constitute a broad-based presidential panel, including the representatives of civil society organizations, to investigate allegations of human rights violations following the NSAS protest.
The National Human Rights Commission says it has received reports from 16 out of 29 states NSAS panel set up to investigate human rights violations by the default Special Anti-Robbery Squad and other police units.
In addition, the National Human Rights Commission also set up a panel in the FCT and which dealt with cases both in the FCT and from all over the country. Because
Anthony Ojukwu, the Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, in Abuja at the event organized by Enough is Enough to mark 3 years of NSAS as well as the submission of report on the protest.
As part of the terms of reference, the panels were to make appropriate recommendations for the reform of SARS and for the police force in general.
It commended Enough is Enough on their efforts for coming up with a review of NSAS protest and report.
So here today, the Enough is Enough has taken a giant step to conduct this judicial review and compile the report which we are going to launch here today. So I must commend the gallant effort of Enough is Enough as one of those steps taken by human rights defenders to make sure that things are not swept under the carpet, to make sure that the right lessons learned from the NSAS protest are not forgotten, and to make sure that, just like the government promised, that the efforts of these panels are geared towards large-scale police reforms. And following that, about 29 states set up SARS panel, and the National Human Rights Commission was made a compulsory member of each of those panels. In addition, the National Human Rights Commission also set up a panel in the FCT and which dealt with cases both in the FCT and from all over the country, because as complainants are free to take their complaint to any state, any branch of the panel, and some did come from other states if they felt it was easier for them to push their case at the panel here.
One thing that the NSAS did was to have a complete revamp of the syllabus in police training colleges. So you have human rights infused in the syllabus, but are we seeing the evidence of that? So, you know, these things we can simply talk over the head of people. Yes, we can take them through a human rights training, but are they really imbibing those principles? And I think, again, I would encourage the Police Service Commission and the Inspector General of Police, together with the Human Rights Committee, led by the Human Rights Commission, to engage them frequently in roundtables, look at focused discussions on incidents and x-ray issues or recommendations or remedies that could be used for lessons.
Samson Itodo, the Executive Director of Yaga Africa, called for polity from the states to the victims of police brutality and people.
I think that one of the things that has come out of this report is that the Nigerian state owes the victims an apology, and it's not an apology that is one-off, because these reports have clearly shown that citizens were subjected to all forms of human degradation, but they were also subjected to all forms of torture and abuse. And so we call on the state to apologize to the families of the victims, including the families of those who are still in incarceration. and take action by releasing these people who are in incarceration. Because it's not a crime for citizens to speak. It's not a crime for citizens to demand accountability.
We had limited time and limited resources, so most of the research is desk research, so internet searching, and then key informant interviews from IAGA's observers and also youth representatives on the panels in the 29 states and in Abuja. So the content, if you could make it slightly bigger so they can see. Excellent. So our launch partners, 5 of 5 demands, background of the study, executive summary, the key findings, recommendations, a state-by-state snapshot of events, and the NSAS timeline. They're invested in justice in their states. They should take that approach. Pay on behalf of the federal government in a sense, and then go back to the federal government and say, we've done the panels as you've asked us to, and this is what we've paid, can we get a refund? And I think moving, hopefully over the next few months, civil society organizations at the state level can take the findings from this report and use that to engage at the state level as we wait for the master report from the National Human Rights Commission.
The judicial panels were set up by 29 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, in November 2020 under the former Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, following the NSAS protest, which was triggered by a nationwide allegation of police brutality.